All right, we're gonna try this now. I am very, very sorry. It looks like I was still on uh, cell phone internet there, and sometimes we get good quality, sometimes we get bad quality. But right now we are back to satellite internet. My apologies. You should be seeing us come through the wire now here. Looks like I'm seeing a lot better on my side, so hopefully you guys are seeing that. My apologies. Uh, there we go. All right, good to see it, Rob. Thank you so much for saying that. Sorry I didn't check earlier, but hopefully you're catching up on everything there. Uh, okay, so here we go. As far as COVID goes, oh my goodness, what a world we live in, huh? What a world we live in. So the neighbor stuff, I'm happy to report we're done with all the projects that need to be done right now. We've got fencing that we'll work on this fall when the ground gets some rain on it, and we've got a beehive that I need to go make. It's a lower priority right now though, so got to get over there and grab it and assemble it and do all that. But we got some stuff that's higher priority here to do first. So it's been a blessing having the neighbor there and the agreement that we have. It's been really nice. Masks are now mandatory in Washington State. That's where we live. If you're not familiar with that, by the way, reminder everybody, let us know where you're from, just so we can see what's out there, who's in the world. It's an interesting world we live in. Yesterday is a sad story. I had to go into town yesterday. My dog Sophie, who is about 20 years old now, a little miniature Dachshund, she's been throwing up randomly and she's lost a lot of weight. So yesterday I was doing some research and I convinced myself that I needed to take her to the vet. $600 later. Couldn't believe that. Thank God we work for our neighbor and are getting some money to help pay for stuff. But I took her into town and went to the vet, and the it was just a weird slash bad experience. You know, normally you go into the vet and it's a doctor's office and nobody likes to be there anyway. At least I don't. And the dog certainly doesn't like to be there. It smells bad. It's all sorts of weirdness. So little Sophie, you know, she's about the size of my arm here as far as length goes. And what you have to do, you make your appointment and then you get up to the door. And then when you're there, they say, well, you got to call us. So if you don't have a cell phone, you're hosed apparently because you walk up to the door and it says, call us at this number and we'll come out and get you when we're ready. So then you stand outside, the dog's sitting there, and then they come out and they ask you, you know, like they start the visit and they do it out in the parking lot, and which isn't bad. You know, it's just not. It's different, I guess. I don't like it because it's different. I don't like it because it's less personal. I don't like this world that we're in right now at all. But then they're like, okay, well, we'll take your dog now and go in. So if you don't have dogs or pets, you probably don't experience this. But when you go into the vet, your dog's not really happy. It's not like it's a great experience. They're kind of like, well, what's going on here? You know? And then they got a bunch of weird people poking and prodding and doing all this stuff, and you want to be there for them like a kid. You know? You're like, hey, no, I'm here. It's okay. You know, these people are okay. Not anymore. You take them in, you drop them off, and they go in there, and you don't get to see your dog. The doctor calls you on the phone while you sit out in your vehicle and wait, and they tell you what's going on. You can't look them in the eye. You can't read their body language. You have no idea what's going on. They might be sitting there playing Tetris or something while they're talking to you. You know, you have no idea. You have no human interaction with them. I think Satan is getting us all to be dehumanized. You may not like that, but it's true. It's what's going on. And that experience yesterday was horrible. But anyway, we ended up finding out she has a lump in between her stomach and her intestines somewhere in there, and it's probably cancer. And at 20 years old, that's not a shocker, but it really kind of sucks. It sucks a lot, and we just went through the thinking, of like if we had to put her down, I I'm not gonna just drop my dog off and say put him down and not be there. We had to put down a dog before Max, and it was one of the saddest things I've ever had to do. One of the hardest things I ever had to do. Makes me tear up a little bit just thinking about it right now. Is you're in there and they give a shot, and they slowly go through less breathing and eventually they just stop. I could not imagine doing that. Could not imagine doing that in this world. Yesterday I did. I say that I imagined it yesterday, and it made me really angry. Like, there is no way I would sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to be there. If I'm choosing to put this animal down, I will be there, and I will let them know I love them all the way to the very end. And if you're saying that I have to drop the dog off and you're just going to go in there and shoot him up, and like, no. If that's the world we live in, then I've got different things I've got to go do. So that was that was a anyway. The whole point of all that was that masks are mandatory, so I had to wear masks the entire time that I was in, or standing outside talking to this person, which is also weird because you can't see facial expressions. I could see eyes, and you can't tell how to read other people. It's just like we're becoming faceless individuals. It's kind of like we're bringing Facebook to the real world. People on Facebook say horrible things, or social media in general, because there's no consequence. Whoop-de-doo. Most people don't even know who they are. But when you're standing right in front of someone, then consequence starts to show up. But now when you have these faceless individuals, you can't read their body language. You can't read their, well, I guess you can see some body language, but you can't read their facial expressions. I really don't like it. The Bible talks about Jesus saying, if you love the world, then you're going to hate him, something like this. And if you love him, you're going to hate the world. And I always thought, I'm thinking of, what a beautiful world, that song, that we live in. It's not a beautiful world. The world sucks. There's beauty in the world, but us humans, we're really screwing it up. We're screwing it up big time. I really do not like where we're at right now. I kept this channel free of all that kind of stuff, and I'll try to do that. But that experience with Sophie and going to the vet, that was horrible. And part of all the reason for that is our county that's right next door has the largest outbreak in Washington State. It's an agricultural county, and it has a lot of folks getting sick over there, so they're clamping down on us all. So let me do some comments here. Thanks again for everybody being here. Make sure you let us know where you're coming in from. Okay, Colombia, Alejandro, I think is how you would say that. Sorry if I hacked that up. Rob, always good to have you here. Hope you are doing okay in these. Yeah, it is crazy times. Chris, I just had to put my 8-year-old go down to cancer last week. Very difficult. Chris, I totally understand. That's what got Max. Luckily, he was older, but they're part of us. They're part of us. They're part of our family. I call them my hairy kids. We don't have kids. We haven't been blessed with that yet, but we got lots of animals, and Sophie and Bandit now are our hairy kids, and the idea of having to put one of your kids down is different, but it's very similar, and sitting there going through that experience is one of the hardest things I've had to do. So I get you. Sorry for your loss. All right, let's go into build status here. We've got I built a test stand for the grow walls. People have asked me in the comments, how come you're not putting these grow walls where they're going to be and all that. I actually addressed that in a video coming up for you guys. It'll be early next week. You're only a few days behind real time when you watch videos now, by the way. So like 2-3 days behind real time. But I built a test stand because we still have a lot of work to do on those grow walls. Those are the first prints. There's 4 versions of those prints that we've come off with so far. But there's a term we use in the industry. It's called operationalizing, which isn't a word, but it is a word. And when you operationalize something, you take it from idea and you start operating it. You start going through the process of using it like someone would really use it. And when you go through that process, you learn things that are wrong, and things that need to be fixed. Little things that made sense on paper, made sense in CAD, made sense in virtual reality, but then when you use it in the real world and you have all these other factors going on, it just doesn't make sense. It needs to be fixed. So I didn't want to go and install something somewhere when we don't know what is going to change yet. And there's only so much work you can do with a computer. Eventually you got to get it in the real world, and you got to operationalize it. So building a small test stand, putting it out there, it's only going to be temporary. All those shrimp that we have, they're actually going to be distributed into the grow tower systems, which will be moved into a different location once we prove that they work. They'll be moved into the garage up the house, which is heated for the winter time. Somebody asked me, boy, you're gonna have to get this all done before winter starts. And they were joking with me, is like, is that like in 2 weeks? And I tell you, it is totally funny that they said that, because we do live in a place that gets a lot of snow. But the reason it's funny is because time, or funny, not funny, and serious, is because time is just going by so fast. It's July, right? Next week is the 4th of July. Yeah, next Saturday is the 4th of July. I don't even know what that's going to look like. I mean, that's going to be so politicized in this country. Who knows what's going to go on? But it's already July, and we still have a lot of work to do. I can't believe how quickly everything's going. So anyway, the reason, again, why we're not putting them in the garage or all that is, well, the grow walls need to go onto LifePod 2. We need to get it going again. So that's why. We got to test it all out. I also designed and printed some shrimp houses, just first Mark 1 stuff, not very fancy. You'll see them in the videos coming up, but they give the shrimp a little place to hide and do all that, which they like, makes them happier. And that darn food grade PLA is still, it is really irritating me. You know, I said the white stuff was printing just fine, and then the black stuff would not print. We spent like a month on it. And then I switched over to white yesterday, and the last few days actually, and it's doing the same thing now. And I think it might be a moisture issue. I think we might have too much moisture, and it's absorbing too much, and it's making it brittle. So I want to play around with that today and see what happens. But I do have all the parts on hand for the grow walls. And if I could just get these final parts printed, then we'd have them installed, and I would have had them installed today if I could have had all the parts done, but off the printer. But it's just taking forever. There's always something. There's always something. No one can say that I haven't learned how to persevere. That's for darn sure. Okay, grow towers. The shipment has arrived. You will see that coming up in the videos next week. And today I'll probably actually be out there once I stop playing with the 3D printer and the irrigation. I think I will actually start going through and doing some stainless steel welding practice with the intention that I will be fabricating grow towers next week. And then hopefully getting those put together in the next few weeks and getting them growing and operational, and testing on those, and getting the shrimp moved over into them, and just really getting going. So I'm excited for that. That's a big deal. You know, for our patrons, I haven't posted these yet because I'm still working on updating the designs, but my little yellow jacket poison traps that well, not poison traps, but poison holders, I've actually installed them, and they're out, and I really like how they work. So I got those out there. I'm going to go ahead and throw those up on Patreon, the 3D printer files, so anyone who wants to have those can get them. And again, the software app, LifePod 2 and Hab 2, nothing really happening there. So let me check out the comments here. Looks like CF, for full-scale production, have you started looking at vacuum forming yet? Minimal tooling, sheet stock, etc. PS, many plastics mold facilities have giant desiccant machines to dry material prior to molding. Yeah, I have looked at the vacuum forming, and we moved away from those really large grow walls just because the design kind of criteria has changed. But it's certainly a possibility. I think probably the thing that will be easiest will be injection molding. I think that's what's going to end up being where we go. Tooling will be a little bit more, but the long-term cost will be less, and we'll be able to reduce the price to the consumer, which is what we care about from Eden's perspective. Is we're not trying to go out the high-end folks. The stuff at the beginning will be more high-end because that's just the process. You know, the first ones off the line are always more expensive, and then you work at getting all your cost out. So we will be seeing that. I'm certainly open to it. I've looked at vacuum machines. I mean, the ones that I found were like $5,000, $6,000. I know you can make some yourself, but with everything that we have right now, it seems that the commitment on the 3D printer, you know, we've committed quite a bit of capital to that, and we have the filament already, so that's sunk capital, it's sunk cost. It seems like we really should make that work. And then as we change designs, though, vacuum forming has been something that I've been made aware of through this channel. I really wasn't aware of that particular manufacturing process before. So I've just never really worked with plastics as much as I have in this project. Normally I'm a carbon fiber, airplane, metal part kind of guy. So those techniques I'm much more familiar with. But vacuum forming was brought to my attention, and I think it's a great option. Just with the capital already sunk, I think we're on the road that we're on. Okay, let's head on to the next one here. Grow walls. Design status. So on we have two parts. You have the grow wall itself, and then you have the little part that mounts to the wall. And the idea of that part that mounts to the wall is it's very easy to secure it. Get your level lines up there, put it up, and then based on what you're going into, tile or sheetrock or wood or metal or whatever, you have different fasteners on it. So it's kind of like a universal attachment, and then the grow wall just slides right onto it, and then you can pull it back off easily to do your maintenance and cleaning. I found an error in it already as we were going through, and I was actually starting to install everything. It's like, oh, well, one of my little lines that allow the hoses to move is in the wrong spot. So we went from version 1 to version 2 on that this week, and trying to print it, but the printer, again, is giving me a problem. No update on the grow towers as far as design goes, and the stuff for the patrons. I printed our first universal / bug house, which I'm really excited. It didn't turn out great. I used the Creality, which is right over here behind you guys, in here, and I used wood filament. I plugged the first nozzle I used, and then I read that that's a common thing, so I bought some new nozzles and bigger ones for the Creality. I switched it out from a 0.4 to 0.6, and it printed. Didn't print as nice as what I wanted it to, but it was cool coming up with this. I came back home, and here's this birdhouse, which you'll see on a video. It's out currently in the shop right now, but you'll see it coming up in a video. And it's very much like the grow wall concept, where it has this outer shell, and then you can put different faceplates into it to make it a different thing. So it has a whole bunch of different utility. And the very first one that we printed was a ladybug house. So it's the exact same shell as a birdhouse, but then you put this faceplate in, and it has all the structure in it for ladybugs to get in, and it's made of the wood filament. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm excited to share that one, and I don't have any updates on Lifebot 2 or Hab 2, so do some. Rob, yep, sounds like moisture. Not sure those big rolls will fit, but I use food dehydrator with a kit carrier lid to my dry. Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning, Rob. I think I should probably put the dehumidifiers that I had in Hab 2. I think I should probably put them out. Put one into the office out there. The air conditioner does a little bit of dehumidification, but the humidity out there has been between 40 or 50%, I've noticed. So I think we should just put the dehumidifier from Hab 2, Hab 1. Oh, I'm just having a hard time today. I don't think I'm awake yet. Out there and start sucking some moisture out and see what we can do. The hard part is I gotta put a moisture line in so it drains easily, and then you got this big box in the middle, but it should help. So I think we'll probably get that going today. All right, no updates on Patreon or anything. We're sitting steady where we're at. Just want to remind folks, if you're brand new to this, we've got that going on. Also remind everyone we do have super chats on, and be sure to hit thumbs up on this video, help us with the algorithm, and check your subscription status. By the way, if you hit subscribe, and then when I say check your subscription, if you hit subscribe again, it will unsubscribe you. So make sure it's kind of grayed out on the button. All right, I got one more slide after this one, so we're chugging right along. Quick update here for everybody. So projects, you've seen we got 2 more projects left, but they're kind of on the back burner. Patreon, we're sitting strong at 273, so thanks again to everyone who's helping us out there. The bounce, you can see on YouTube, the subscribers we've gone down this week, but it'll go back up. It's been bouncing, so nothing too crazy there to be worried about. The project builds, we got the grow towers, we're going to try to get those done, and we got the grow walls as well. And well, I don't even want to talk about Darla because I'll jinx myself. But we do need to do fence repair, and I got a new digital fence meter, so I need to go out and walk the fence. And we might get some rain next week, so it might be good. It might screw up our hay plans, but I might be able to go out and do some walking and figure out what's going on with that electric fence. I got to get that garden irrigation put in. Cody let me borrow the knife sharpener. I still need to do all the knives. Everything just piles up, and I got to get that root cellar. So it is crazy, crazy how much stuff there is to do here. So all right, today's thought is one I posted up onto Facebook, and I'll just kind of let you all read it here real quick. If you would, if you don't agree with my beliefs, that's okay for this, but if you could just read this real fast. I'll do it out loud. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. Now, the reason I put this up here is because, the world is becoming more and more divided, and I've seen this pattern. First of all, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I've been in the Air Force, and one of the things I was taught was what's called information operations. Now, I'm going to summarize this, but the IO, information ops, IO for short, is a technique of warfare where we use information to beat the enemy into submission. And I've shared the information operation doctrine with you all before. I sent the links out and said, here are the different things that happen in IO. And a while ago, completely separate from my faith, I just looked and saw what was happening in the world and realized that a large IO campaign has been launched against everybody. The interesting thing that I've seen lately is the extreme division that is occurring with people. And I see it on every side. And I pray that everyone's minds are open to this issue, is that there is a war going on against you. It's not being waged by Democrats, and it's not being waged by Republicans. It's not being waged by liberals, and it's not being waged by conservatives. There is a much larger war going on. And the interesting thing is, when you read about that war, it's all been written down. And when you see some of the things that have been said about what would happen during that war, you can see those things clearly happening today. So this particular verse from 2 Timothy 4, verses 3 through 4, is one that caught my attention this week, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I don't do a whole lot of Bible talk and all that kind of stuff, and I know I'll probably lose more subscribers, but ultimately that doesn't matter anymore. What does matter is what's written in the Word, and I feel that more and more. So I wanted to share this today because the interesting thing, when I've shared this with people in person and over the internet and all that, each group of people thinks that this is happening, but they think it's happening with the other group of people. So what it means is they sit there and they look at this and they go, that's exactly what my conservative friends are doing. They're just surrounding themselves with more conservative friends and sitting there going, oh yeah, look at this. They are just sitting there talking about conservative stuff. They won't listen anymore. The interesting thing is, when you share it with the conservative friends, they sit there and say, that's exactly what my liberal friends are doing. They are just surrounding themselves with people that they want to hear. And what neither one of them sees is the truth. They are both doing it. They are both being deceived. The war that's going on is sitting there, and you're one of the victims. If you are sitting there and this verse isn't, if you're sitting there and you're like, I look at all this stuff on Facebook and I see all these things happening, and by golly, I'm right, and you just keep looking for more and more of those things that tell you what you want to hear, that's called confirmation bias. And that is exactly what this verse is talking about. It is happening more and more and more. This verse also has larger context to it, and I'm not going into that here. But in the context of today, what this verse is saying is, if you're just sitting there and you're pulling up Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or all these really fantastic places where you can gather really great knowledge, or you're pulling up Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or CSNBC or CBS or any of them, they're all garbage. They're all crap. And if you think that, oh, I watch MSNBC, so everything I have is great because Rachel Maddow, boy, oh boy, she's on fire. If I watch Fox News because this guy is freaking awesome, I don't even know their names because they're all crap. They're crap. They're all propagandists. All of them. Every single one of them. You can tell I'm on fire with this one. If you're sitting there and you're listening to one of those people and you think that you're right, you're doing this. You are doing this. If every time you pull up Facebook and you just say, hey, this is the thing that I wanted to hear, and you don't go balance it, shame on you. Because you are falling victim to this. And what this means is the end is getting near. And this is what people are doing. They're turning off from each other. instead of listening, instead of evolving, like I'm educated, right? And most people hate me because I'm educated and I believe in Christ, right? So that means I piss both people off. People who are Christians think science is evil. People who aren't Christians and do science, they think Christianity is horrible and stupid and ignorant. Well, I'm both. So I piss everybody off. But the people who think, they think that if they surround themselves by their garbage news coming from the Washington Post or the New York Times, that somehow they have all this fantastic news. You can't trust anybody right now. You can't trust anybody. So what do? When you turn on the news, you can't trust that. When you pull up Facebook, you know what? They have machines that are making those posts. The last election, Russia had artificial intelligence that was just making posts. Okay? I could do that. Kids can do that. Artificial intelligence is so easy and so available today that kids can do it. And they can sit there and they can put together messages. Microsoft did an AI test. You can look this one up, where they created an AI and they put it out. I think it was on Twitter or something like that, or Facebook. And it was a bot, and you could sit and you could talk to it, and it learned the more it engaged. You know what it ended up being? Like a Nazi Jewish hater, because people kept feeding it a bunch of garbage. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. I was just really upset. I'm saddened by today's world because I look at people who I used to be able to talk to, but I can't talk to them anymore because they don't want to hear what I have to say because they disagree with me. And it's happening on both sides. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Just maybe something that makes you think of something a little differently. If you think you are absolutely right because of your news source, I will challenge you and say, no, you're not, because your news source is crap. If you think that because you don't watch TV, but you get all your news from Facebook, that you're doing something great and that makes you better than other people, no, you're not. You're just being deceived. It's all deception. It's all deception. It's all a big I.O. And the logical conclusion is that you can't trust any source. And because of that, you're going to have to go to what you believe. And that's exactly what's happening. People can't trust anything, and they're going with what they believe, and their hearts are being hardened in their belief, and it's very difficult for them to think anymore. So, and that's sad to me, because I do like thinking. I'm a logical person. I came to Christ through logic, not because of blind faith, but because of logic. So, anyway, I'll probably lose about 100 or so subscribers because I talked about Christ today, but you know what? Praise God. Thank God for Christ, because I would be a complete freaking mess if it wasn't for him, and I am happy and proud to say that I am a Christian. I believe in Christ. I am not religious. I'm a man of faith. I love my God, and if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be dead and in hell. So, I hope some of you guys listen to that, and I hope this message shakes some of you to the core and makes you go pick up your Bible instead of looking at Facebook. Because that's where we all need to be right now. We need to be reading the Word, and the more I read it, the more I study it, the happier I get, the more hopeful I get, and everything in my life gets better the closer I get to God. It doesn't mean it gets easier. It usually means it gets harder. So, man, on fire all of a sudden. Okay. Whew. I got to calm down here. I think the coffee hit me there. Sorry, folks. All right, let's see. Let's do some comments here. Frontcaster. Oh my goodness gracious! Thank you so much for your super chat. Really appreciate that. On the filament, you may have to keep it in lightly modified tote filled with desiccant beads, and it feeds out a grommeted hole and put in the side. Seems like it might be a cheap answer for a hydroscopic issue. Yes. Thinking of that this morning as well. I agree with you. It's just getting one built and put together, but I think that's, especially since we have those huge 8-kilogram rolls where that, there's a lot there. I think that's a really big deal. James Perry, hi everyone from Massachusetts, listening to the stream in the car. Why? Thanks, James. That's cool. Rob, thumbs up. Farmer Brad, hi. Alandro, hello. If I may put my train of salt as an outsider as to what's going on with the U.S. is very similar to what happened here in Colombia during the 1800s and during the 1948 and 1958. All urinalist. I disagree with your religious belief, but I have no problem listening to you. I see lots of wisdom in the Bible regardless of who may or may not have written it. All right, Rob. you know what? That's an opinion and a position that I fully respect. I wish that we could have more of those types of conversations. You know, I don't mind people saying they disagree with me because it helps work through my own issues. And that frame of mind that you just said there, Rob, is one that I totally and absolutely agree with. Is I disagree with you, but I'm happy to listen to you. And you know, the interesting thing is that the Greeks, it's really, really interesting. They were really good at this. You know, they love knowledge. They love knowledge. And I remember in the Bible, Paul talks about going there. And the thing, and this is not part of, you know, anything that's like pure religious, it's just, it has to do with this idea, is he went there and they had statues of all the different Greek gods and gods that they didn't know. And they had one statue that says, to the unknown God. And when Paul said, well, that's the guy I'm here to talk about, the Greeks said, well, we want to listen to you. And why'd they say that? And they say it to everyone that came by, because they were consumers of knowledge and they wanted to hear different points of view. We've lost that in the world. It's almost like we're devolving. I had this thought last night. I was sitting there thinking, and I was just like, if we're evolving and we're all getting better, why are we all getting worse? I don't know how as a species we can evolve if we're all lying to each other, for example. It just doesn't work. You know, that's what, it really hurts me that we just have stopped listening. I don't, it really bugs me. I see good people that I know, people that I've worked with, people that know me, and what they are doing on Facebook is a travesty. The negativity, the name calling. Remember when I was younger, my mom, who was on here, she got on my ass if I started calling people names. What happened to that? Now we all just say, okay, yeah, that's fine. Those liberals are all libtards. Those conservatives are all idiots. It's sad. It's really sad. So, anyway. Rob, you're half Greek. Well, that explains that. All right, you know, I usually lose a lot of people on these live streams, and I have a funny feeling that on this one, if anyone makes it to the end, I will probably lose a whole bunch of people. But like I said, that doesn't really matter anymore. So I'm thankful for all of you that have stayed along here and followed along with me. I hope that you could, like Rob has done, agree to disagree and respect my position. It's really my passion and my sadness for what's happening to humanity. If you'd like to know more about my faith, I'm happy to do just a faith-based video so that people know up front if they don't want to tune in, you know, don't want to hear it. But I'm happy to share my thoughts with you. I've always wondered, it's always a balance trying to share those personal things because, you know, people want to get to know me more on the channel, and that's a huge part of who I am. So, but I also, you know, I don't want to push people away. I don't, you know, want to sit here and be whacking people over the head. That's no fun. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. I don't like it. You don't like it. No one likes it. So I try really hard to balance it. But today I just kind of got on fire there. Sorry. So sorry, not sorry type of thing. But we'll see what happens. So Alejandro, I meant to say grain of salt. Those two periods I referred to are periods of great civil unrest and political violence guided. Anyways, God bless. Well, thank you for that good chunk of history there. Train of salt and grain of salt. That's definitely good that you clarified that. So thank you so much. Anyway, well, folks, I think that's it for the comments there. Much respect to you, Rob. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. I do pray that you're able to find truth, that you're able to make it through this, that you and your families are safe and protected during these very crazy times, and that you're able to maybe find someone who disagrees with you and try to have a conversation with them, and I pray that works well. Show them love. Jesus did a good job of telling us that. We're not supposed to hate our enemies. We're not supposed to hate our enemies, folks. We're not supposed to hate our enemies. We're supposed to love them. So on that note, this is The Real Martian.